Neither shall he regard the Yah of his fathers, nor the sire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. This is the rider of the white horse, the tribe of Dan, the one that broke off the tree of life. This is the tribe of the Antichrist. Dan should judge his people as one of the tribes of Jasharel. Dan should be a serpent by the way, a adder in the path that bites the horse's heels, so that his rider should fall backwards. I have waited for thy salvation, O Adonai. The tribe of Dan joined the Canaanites, the serpent bloodline. As you can see, this is a gematria for Dan. There's Kabbalah, DNA, and Dan because they are switching or trying to switch our DNA. And you're also going to see Adam because there are two atoms. I'm going to show you a clearer picture, but before that, you see the top, it says Jesus and Lucifer because Jesus is Lucifer. That's the second Adam. There's Muhammad, Jewish, not to be confused with Hebrew. This is the Jiddish people, the Kabbalists. And the bottom is going to say London, as in the tribe of Dan, London, the rider of the white horse. In Revelation 6:2, the rider of the white horse, he rides a white horse and he carries a bow. In Old English, bow means rainbow. Those that don't know, yes, a rainbow is actually a full circle, not just an arc. Goes the Climate King, and you see the rainbow above his head. And if you count the feathers, each of them is 6, 6, 6, 6. And you know that all presidents of the U.S. are related to the King of England. And he is part of the District of Columbia, the three cities that run the world: Washington, D.C., London, and Rome, named after the goddess, the District of Columbia. Now to the Noahide law. According to the Jewish law, not the Hebrew law, not the Torah, but the Talmud, non-Jews or Gentiles are not obligated to convert to Judaism, but they are required to observe the seven laws of Noah to be assured a place in the new world to come. In other words, you can't go against this because the God that they serve is androgynous. That's why you see the rainbow, because that's what's coming. So it's going to be in our schools, our jobs, everywhere. You're not going to be able to speak against this community because it could cost you your job. So they're not going to force you to convert, but you have to be in agreement with them. So even if it's a male dressing up as a female, they're going to force you to address them as a female because this is the world that's coming. The world that's coming is a world of both female and male merged into one because that's the God they serve. Case comes to mind. I remember a couple years back when this gay couple went into a bakery and they chose this particular baker because he was Christian so that he could bake them a wedding cake so he could go against his beliefs, and he did not want to do that, and this community which tried to shut down his business. So this is what's going to come. This is the world that's coming. They want your consent because if you don't give them your consent, they will take your job. This is what's coming. It says that the image will come back to life. He's referring to Akhenaten. Obama is the clone of Akhenaten, and Akhenaten himself was in an inversion. What they call it social inversion, when they have both energies, both female and male, in one vessel.
I'm feeling kind, but before I go out, I gotta pregame. And the only way I pregame is with an ice cold Bud Light. Uh, so good. Yo, Elon, if
So the ones behind the Kabbalah, the Talmud, the Noahide laws, the 13th tribe, and who's their god? Well, Lucifer is. In Romans 1, it tells you that the women will not desire a man and a man will not desire a woman, but they will turn onto each other. Sharing two gematrias with you, one money, and money you're gonna see false Noah. That is for Noahide, and also Barack Obama is also mentioned on the money, which happens to be the mark of the beast, by the way. And also when you see here, this is the number of a man, gematria, Barack Obama, 666, because he is the man of sin in the scriptures, 666, and he works with who? The papacy, because you're gonna see it also says papacy, which are the Canaanites. So in the scripture that tells you they carry out the schemes in secret and think that nobody sees them or knows what they're doing. They turn everything upside down because in their world, what starts as a female ends up male. What starts as a male ends up female. Everything is an inversion because you need to have both energies in one vessel, both female, male in one vessel, because that's the God they serve. Even the Statue of Liberty itself is transgender. Helbetus became Lucifer. Well, Lucifer goes by many names, and one of the names he goes by besides Venus, he also is Mary. Mary in the Catholic Church, big surprise, and she is the moon goddess. So he plays both the moon goddess and the sun god. Venus is often John standing on top of the clam. And why is that? Most clam begins life as males and then switch sex and become females. That's why the first ladies always have pearl necklaces because it represents their inversion. And bones. 322 in Genesis to make us into their image. And if you look at the image really well, you see the hip bones and the eye sockets are both male and female. So it's a version of both female and male into one vessel. We covered the fertility goddess, so now I'm going to show you who Adam is, because like I said, there are two Adams. This took place during the Super Bowl. What you're looking at here is the Mason apron. In reality, what it is for Virgin Mary, for goddess worship, the matriz, the matrix, which is the womb of the fertility goddess.
Taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those...
Okay, friends, so you've heard it. This is a man. Michelle Obama is a man, and this is how she had her babies, IVF. This is how the transgenders are doing it, and we're going to find out, it's either freezer eggs, their sperm, surrogates, or other ways. You can pause and have a look. And this is how the taxpayers are paying for it and God's children. Here we go. Listen up.
Mr. Trump revealing a new policy proposal in an interview with NBC News, pledging that during his second term, the popular and pricey fertility treatment IVF would be free.
So we are paying for that treatment.
All Americans who want it?
For all Americans that get it, all Americans that need it. So we're going to be paying for that treatment, or we're going to be mandating that the insurance company pay.
The former president not providing specifics about how the procedure, which costs about $20,000 per cycle, would be paid for. A massive healthcare expense after Mr. Trump and congressional Republicans tried multiple times to repeal the Affordable Care Act in his first term.
Make no doubt about it, friends. The devil comes as an angel of light. This is the transgender agenda, and it's the breeding program. This is how they're doing it. Who's paying for it? You. God's people, the taxpayers.
People are so sick. This is disturbing.
Sorry. Your balls stink.
My balls are twice the size of yours. You have no balls. Ballless.
You have dick rings on your pants. 4 little dick rings on each pant leg. 1, 2. I believe in Europe these are known as Prince Alberts. So you have a total of 8 Prince Alberts just dangling off your leg. There's 8 Prince Albertless dongs out there just looking for their ring.
They couldn't even pierce yours. So small. Yep. We got there. We're there.
So what usually happens when somebody goes on testosterone is that their clitoris grows. And that becomes your little dick, basically. So when people are like, you're going to grow a penis, you could literally just slap him in the face and say, yeah, I do. I mean, don't slap him in the face, but with knowledge. Slap him in the face with knowledge. Like, yeah, I do. I actually do. I grew a dick.
You went there.
Are we done? Seth, can you come back from that?
No.
And there ends.
I've tried to get a lot of Prince Alberts, is what's true. And every time they're like, you're going to have to come back on a warmer day.
And there ends Chloe Grace Moretz and Seth Rogen. Played great insults, and what a match it was.
What a game.
Good work, guys. Thank you so much.
And Sulawesi. All these roles share the traits of devotion to a goddess, gender transgression, and homosexuality, and actual or symbolic castration. Most at some point in their history were based in temples and therefore part of the religious economic administration, the mass media industrial complex of their respective city-states. These were high-ranking trannies, same as it ever was. The goddesses who stand at the head of these cults, Sybil, Bahukara Mata, and Inanna Ishtar, and Mother Mary with the eunuch priests, also share important traits. All 3 are credited with the power to inspire divine madness, which can include the transformation of gender. Ishtar, the goddess of sexuality, is notoriously promiscuous, never marries, and indeed is herself a transvestite. To turn a man into a woman and a woman into a man are yours, Inanna. In all 3 cultural regions, the goddess-inspired priests were conceptualized as occupying a distinct gender category, as we have seen. Hydra routinely refer to themselves as neither men nor women. In a similar way, the flow of blood during the castration of Hydra is believed to empty them of both desire and gender. Because of this, they can serve as vehicles for the transmission of the sexual energy of the goddess. They become her phallus, as it were, erotic ascetics. So this is the entry on Ashtoreth. The chief goddess of the Phoenicians, as Baal, was the male. By the plural, different phases of the same deity. Ashtoreth, the female version, the female phase, and Baal was the male phase of one deity. The active and passive powers of nature, generative and receptive, suggested the male and female deities, Baal and Ashtoreth. And that's what the Freemasons talk about all the time. All right, here's another dictionary. Although a Baal was a male god and Ashtoreth a female god, the two are often linked to represent the religion commonly known as Baalism. Ashtoreth of the Zidonians, Ishtar of the Akkadians, and Astarte of the Greeks, the Queen of Heaven. Mother Mary of the Catholics with their eunuch priests, kind of representing the eunuchs, right? The word eunuch can be used for someone who's chosen a life of celibacy. Catholicism is a goddess-worshipping cult. Of course, Diana was the name of Wonder Woman. The goddess of Ephesus, called Artemis by the Greeks, now under the male form, now under the female. The priests were eunuchs and were called megabazoi. The Ephesian cult of Artemis was by no means confined to Ephesus. The statement of Acts, whom all Asia and the Roman world worship, was no exaggeration. So this cult of transvestite priests worshiping the mother goddess was all over the world. Artemis worship was at length Christianized in the middle of the 5th century by the substitution of the mother god, Theotokos. This was the beginning of Mariolatry. All right, what do you think that means? Mariolatry, the idol worship of Mary. All right. Now, I always get these comments when I talk about Mary. Hey, Mary is a great woman, a human female, mother of Jesus Christ. But Mary is not a goddess. They changed the name, again, of Artemis to Mary. All right, just like it changed from Inanna, Ishtar, Ashtoreth. Now it's Artemis. Now it's Mary. First thing people do when they enter the Catholic Church is they bow down to Mary, right? When they enter a Catholic Mass. Light in theater in the present era. Transvestite, pagan priest. There's the mask, right? There's the mask, tattoos, 33, and the male cult prostitute, the actor. A lot of these actors have transgendered children that are kind of openly transgender. I think this one does, actually. I think most of them do. And what does the name mean, by the way? Angelina Jolie, right? Remember, the J is a relatively new invention. Angel, right? Angel, holy, holy angel. And there we have implements of castration. Castration clamps found in the river Tame and now at the Museum of London. Bronze ritual Roman-era castration clamps. And notice it looks just like a Freemason sign. This is castration, right? This peace sign, that's what it means. Castration. They're doing it near the eyes. You'll be enlightened, and is doing this thing here as well, right? You know, there could be a number of meanings of this peace sign, and a lot of times people are just guessing at what they mean. But what does it mean for them? Why do they do it? I think it means this. And I think this means this. It's the same thing. It's a castration cult, transvestite cult, all for the goddess Inanna. They're castrated, transgendered, pagan priests. These people are in the transgendered elite that run the world. It's always been this way, really. Until the end, they will be destroyed, and we will inherit the earth, all right? This is the religion that's in direct opposition. They, in fact, they imitate everything, and they just do it totally opposite, right? These are the transvestite pagan priests and entertainers in the Babylonian and Greek and Jewish mystery schools. Mystery religions. Union of the universe with itself, this mutual action of two sexes he terms the great secrets of nature, the mysteries of the union of heaven with earth, imaged in the sacred mysteries of Attis and Bacchus, Dionysus. All the masters in alchemy who have written of the great work have employed symbolic and figurative expressions, being constrained to do so as well, to repel the profane, the uninitiated, from a work that would be dangerous for them, as to be well understood by adepts in revealing to them the whole world of analogies governed by the single and sovereign dogma of Hermes. So in their language, gold and silver are the king and queen, or the sun and moon, Ashtoreth and Baal, sulfur, the flying eagle, Mercury, the man-woman, the atom Cadmon. That's the hexagram. That's on the Great Seal of the United States and above the flying eagle. Winged and bearded, mounted on a cube, crowned with flames, matter or salt. The winged dragon, the metals in ebullition, lions of different colors, Inanna Ishtar. And finally, the entire work has for its symbols the pelican and the phoenix. All right, the phoenix is Inanna Ishtar. Inanna Ishtar descended to the other world and rose again. All right, that's what the phoenix is representing. Inanna descending to the underworld. How did Inanna return from the underworld? The androgynes. Remember, the other god created a race of androgynes so that Inanna Ishtar could return to Earth. So what I believe is that this is the origins of the modern-day transgender agenda. The nations are still under the control of these gods and goddesses with their transgendered, transvestite priests. Nothing's changed. All right, hey everybody, I'm going to talk today about Freemasonry code. Basically, I was reading this book here by Albert Mackey, The Symbolism of Freemasonry, written by a 33rd degree Freemason. So I'm going to go through this book, and then I'm going to look at what is a Noahide, and I'm going to trace it back to what that means for us today. So chapter 1 is the origin and progress of Freemasonry. All right, then he goes on to talk about the two doctrines of Freemasonry, which are the unity of God and the immortality of the soul. Chapter 2, the Noahide. These are the doctrines which still constitute the creed of Freemasonry, and hence one of the names bestowed upon the Freemasons from the earliest times was that of Noachidae, or Noachites. That is to say, the descendants of Noah and the transmitters of his religious dogmas. It doesn't say it came from Noah. It says the descendants of Noah. Let's see who those were. All right, so here's Noah's family tree, right? We got Noah up here on the upper left. Ham had a son, Cush. Cush had a son, Nimrod. Nimrod built the Tower of Babel. And they said to one another, "Go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly." They had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. Sounds like masonry, doesn't it? And his other son, Egypt. All right, this is Egypt. And another son, Canaan, the Canaanites. So the lineage of Ham were the enemies of God. But they are technically descendants of Noah. Freemasonry came from the descendants of Noah. So Ham was trying to bring back the pre-flood Nephilim kingdom. And then it says here, all the deities of pagan antiquity, however numerous they may be, can always be reduced to the two different forms of the generative principle, the active or male and the passive or female. Hence the gods were always arranged in pairs, as Jupiter and Juno, Bacchus and Venus, Osiris and Isis. But the ancients went further, believing that the procreative and productive powers of nature might be conceived to exist in the same individual. They made the older of their deities hermaphrodite and used the term the man-virgin to denote the union of the two sexes in the same divine person. What's the unity of God? The male and the female combined into one body. They're hermaphrodite God. Elsewhere, I have very fully alluded to the prevailing sentiment among the ancients that the supreme deity was bisexual or hermaphrodite, including in the essence of his being the male and female principles, the generative and prolific powers of nature. This was the universal doctrine in all the ancient religions. They all taught that God, the Creator, was both male and female. In Kabbalah, a hidden meaning is often deduced from a word by transposing or reversing its letters, and it was in this way that the Kabbalists concealed many of their mysteries. Lancy applied this Kabbalistic mode to the Tetragrammaton when he found out that IHOH being read reversely makes the word Ho-Hai. So basically he's talking about reading the word backwards may reveal the true name of God. But in Hebrew, Ho is the masculine pronoun equivalent to the English he, and Hai is the feminine pronoun equivalent to she. And therefore the word Ho-Hai, literally translated, is equivalent to the English compound he, she. That is to say, the ineffable name of God in Hebrew, being read Kabbalistically, includes within itself the male and female principle. Right there, he's saying Freemasons believe that the true name of God is he, she, that God is a she-male. They're calling God a ladyboy right here, all right? And